Hello, I'm Mason,
And this is Ian.
and this is Helmet to Helmet. If you missed our Pro Bowl recap, I don't blame you, but we've officially been titled Helmet to Helmet, which we announced in that video with a dramatic, anticlimactic drum roll. So, this is our deep dive on the Super Bowl. We have Rams and Patriots squaring off in Atlanta. Both teams arrived yesterday, and we're going to go position by position and kind of break down each of the starters and give our grades.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Let's start with the Patriots. Tom Brady is probably a C-, of course. No, I'm kidding. Of course, Tom Brady, even though he's looked old, he still has postseason magic. He looked great in the divisional round, and then against the Chiefs, he was unstoppable the entire game. It was more of a surprise to see the Chiefs' defense stop him than it was for him to score a touchdown. And as soon as he got the ball in overtime, we knew that he was going to score. And so I've definitely got to give him an A. He's one of the best of all time, if not the best. He's an absolute stud.
I gave the Patriots an A+ at quarterback because, it's Tom Brady. This is his third Super Bowl in a row. And although he didn't win last year, it's sadly looking like he might. Best playoff quarterback of all time, most rings. Can't really argue with him having an A or higher.
For the Rams, quarterback Jared Goff had a fantastic year this year, and what's surprising is a lot of people think about this offense as a high-flying passing attack, but they ran the ball on the same percentage of plays as the Cowboys did. I think it was like 46, 47. They're an incredibly balanced offense, which honestly diminishes a little bit of what Jared Goff was able to do, especially with what Todd Gurley did this year. He was phenomenal, but we'll get into that later. I gave Jared Goff a B+ because he's looked good. He's teetering right there, like 89.8%. He's teetering right there. I still think he's a little young, is still prone to making some mistakes. Early in the game against the Saints, he didn't look great. There's a lot of improvement that needs to happen for Jared Goff right now.
Yeah, I also agree that there needs to be more improvement for Goff. To me, I gave him a B-. He's, to me, a more mobile, slightly more serviceable and teachable Matt Ryan. So a B-. He can run. He can't really do anything on his own. He's going to need the run game to get going mentally for himself. And we've never seen him in a stage this big ever. So this will be a good test.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan's a good comparison for him, honestly, because they both have the ability to throw the ball. Matt Ryan really an underrated quarterback since he came out of the league. He's had so many straight 4,000-yard seasons. He always.
But how many playoff wins? How many Super Bowls?
He got him to a Super. He's taken them as far as Jared Goff has.
I would say Kyle Shanahan took us to a Super Bowl.
That is a debate for the offseason.
That's an offseason. That was just a little taste.
So now we're going to get into running backs.
Yes, the running backs. And here I gave the Rams with Todd Gurley and really C.J. Anderson coming in, which, do we think that he was going to be that? But he came in and I gave them an A because either one with a run as the running back will mow over anybody, and it just really depends on who gets going early. For whatever reason, CJ's been really good in these playoff games, and Todd's kind of been brick hands and not being able to do as well. But if they both show up to that Super Bowl fully ready, they will have a good shot.
Yeah. I'm a little lower on them just because I think Todd Gurley is suffering through some kind of injury. Against the Saints, he had 4 carries for 10 yards. And even then, C.J. Anderson looked good, not great. I want to say 44 yards-ish or so. He wasn't that dominant. And I want to give a lot of credit to what he was able to do to the offensive line that we'll talk about later. I'm giving their running back core right now a B-, but an A if they're both healthy. Because Todd Gurley is, if not the best, a top 2 or 3 back in the league right now. Yeah. We've seen that this year. We saw it last year. He is
one of the best fantasy people, too.
Oh, yeah. He is absolutely dominant. And a Georgia running back, I may add.
If you want to talk about Georgia players, there's some on both sides.
Yeah, go over to the Patriots running back.
There's also a Georgia running back. What? Sony Michel is out there, and James White, who really doesn't get enough credit. Sony Michel is just going to run through you. Although I didn't think that's what he was going to be like when he came out of college and transferring to the NFL, but he's really showed that he has the power. So I give the Patriots a B+, purely because Sony Michel can just run down the middle. James White is really good third down back and has done a lot that people don't give him credit for on those little check down throws. And then Rex Burkhead, I know no one knows about him, but he's one of the last white running backs, so I give him respect. B+.
Yeah, I'm pretty close with you. I'm giving them a B plus A minus, right there on the cusp, kind of like what I have with Jared Goff. Sony Michel is really starting to come into his own as a rookie. We saw flashes of what he was able to do at Georgia, but now he's looking like a very, very good NFL running back, and the Patriots are really starting to lean on him. James White, a fantastic pass catcher. I want to say he had 14 catches in the AFC Championship game, tied a record.
Yeah.
He is fantastic in the passing game, almost like a little scat back. But an underrated part of this running back core is James Devlin, the fullback. And you see the difference in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. It was 4th and inches, and the Patriots went single back. And they put in Rex Burkhead in the backfield, and they tried to run him up the middle. And he got stuffed. They didn't convert it. And you see them come in on 4th and 1 late in the game. They come back out I formation. You have James Devlin in the backfield. You put in Sony Michel, and all of a sudden it's an 11-yard touchdown. There are huge holes. James Devlin is an integral part of this offense, even though in this modern NFL we don't often see fullbacks used.
No, and a great rugby player, by the way.
Fantastic. Probably a little better at football than he is with rugby. So let's go to the receivers. For the Rams, of course, we know Cooper Kupp is injured.
Sad.
It is sad. For wide receivers, they have Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. It's a dangerous group. Josh Reynolds has really been unheralded, but has done well as their third receiver. I'll give them a B. There's quality, but there's no top guy that you just really fear. And part of that comes with Brandon Cooks being underrated as he is, but there's no Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, even a Michael Thomas, who's not, I think once he leaves the Saints system, he's not going to be as great as we see him now, but he's someone that turns into a top-tier receiver when paired with a stud quarterback. And there's just no one receiver that can take over a game that you really fear, like these star-studded guys. But it's a really solid group.
I'd have to completely agree with that. I also gave him a B. It would have probably been a B+, but just barely if Cooper Kupp was healthy, because his connection with Goff is just one of those quarterback duo with wide receiver that just is good. But as you said, they don't really have many names. Brandon Cooks is the biggest name on that receiver core, and he's good, but he's not going to draw double coverage. He'll have a few big catches, but nothing that will take over the game. They're just a B to me, just there. They're not going to lose you the game, and they're not going to win it for you.
I agree. And then you look at their tight ends, of course, kind of group them all together since we don't really have blocking tight ends anymore. Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee have been good, not great. They're just a part of that core, that B core.
They exist.
Yeah. For the Patriots, this one has been really messing with me for a while because you see Gronk and you see Edelman. And I think Edelman's gotten a little better this year, but Gronk has definitely regressed. He's not the same kind of monster that we've seen him in past years. Other players they have, Chris Hogan. They use Cordero Patterson kind of as a Swiss Army knife. Philip Dorsett's in the offense a little bit, and Dwayne Allen, the backup to Gronk. The group as a whole is probably about a B+. You know, you're not going to have a lot of C grades as you come into the Super Bowl. Your team's pretty well-rounded. Edelman's really the only star that I'm worrying about right now. We saw Gronk start-ish to take over in the Chiefs game, but he really just, he's too easy to silence at this point. You put a strong safety on him and then maybe a little corner help, and he's practically non-existent. And Julian Edelman is still pulling in crazy catches. Chris Hogan is starting to produce on his own. It's a B+-ish group.
I'm very close. I also just gave the Patriots a B. I feel like they're not quite plus because of Rob Gronkowski not really being himself anymore. I do think that this might be his last season and last game because he's contemplated retirement for a while now. But their receivers, they'll do what you need to do. They'll run those little 5-yard slants, get the ball, get some yards after catch. Dwayne Allen, I think, might have a bigger role in this game than most people are thinking. Maybe since people are so afraid of Rob Gronkowski, they're going to go to Dwayne more. But just a B for me.
And don't get me wrong, Gronk is still, he's still great. He's just not Gronk as we're used to. He's still better than Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. He's still a good tight end. He's just not Gronk.
Gronk smash.
What we have seen Gronk do a lot more lately is blocking, and that'll take us towards the offensive line.
Yes. As for the offensive line for the Rams, Andrew Whitworth stand out on this line, but other than that, I don't really feel like any of them are going to be that bad or a liability. I'm just giving them a solid B ranking because They've ran the ball so well most of the year. They've given him plenty of time to pass protect. So a B. Actually a B plus. Now that I'm thinking about it, a little bit of praise for him. A B plus.
Yeah, I was going to say B plus as well. Andrew Whitworth is a stud. I'm so glad that he's here after all those years in Cincinnati. Rob Havenstein has been one of those guys that you don't hear a lot about.
Very
'cause he's on-
underrated. Yeah.
But he's one of the better right tackles in the game, if not, one of the top 3 or 4. This dude is unstoppable. And John Sullivan, I want to say he was a Pro Bowl selection this year.
Hold on. No, he was not.
He was not? Okay.
He was not because Alex Mack took
Alex
it.
Mack, yeah, okay. That's fair. But to come right behind Alex Mack, you still have to be really good. So John Sullivan, this is a good group. I was B plus, definitely for them.
And then now we move on to the Patriots, where I gave them a B plus, mainly because they do what they do, and they are very disciplined offensive line. You don't see many holding. You don't see many times where they let the defense get to Tom Brady. Tom Brady typically has plenty of time. He doesn't have to run outside of the pocket. So a B plus for their O-line with their Georgia boys up front and then a Georgia Tech boy. It's weird.
Yeah. I'm going A minus. A lot of talk in a couple off seasons ago was around the Patriots giving up Nate Solder and letting him go to the Giants. What people don't realize, Trent Brown on this season has given up 2 pressures on Tom Brady. He's been an absolute stud, a little diamond in the rough. David Andrews, of course, is always solid. Shaq Mason, of course, is always solid. Marcus Cannon looks great. I'm going A minus for this line. They open up holes for the running back, and they're good at giving Tom Brady time to pass. So now we'll switch lines and go to the defense, starting with the Rams. And this is one of the more star-studded defensive lines you'll find anywhere in the NFL. Michael Brockers, Ndamukong Suh, and Aaron Donald right there. That's scary. I'm giving them an A, and it's just shy of an A+ because of that horrid run defense they had this year. They shirted up in the NFC Championship game against the Saints. They looked good against the Eagles, but it's still just a liability for them. They can rush the passer. They do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I'd have to agree on the A ranking as well. I only gave them an A and not an A+, partially because of their running and also because they run a 3-4. So I don't know how that's going to go against the Patriots, against what they typically run. But Ndamukong Suh, big man. Aaron Donald, big man. Michael Brockers, all big star studs on defense that will help each other get sacks throughout the game.
Absolutely. As for the Patriots, they're running a 4-3 with Trey Flowers, Lawrence Guy, Malcolm Brown, and Dietrich Wise Jr. I'm going to give this a B. Trey Flowers has been a very nice piece for the Patriots. They seem to always churn out those 10-sack-a-year pass rushers. They do well. Malcolm Brown was a first-round pick. He's done okay as a defensive tackle. He's lived up to kind of like a second or a third-round pick billing. Overall, this group is good. They have a little bit of depth. They have Adrian Claiborne as well in the ranks. They have Derek Rivers, Danny Shelton, who was another first-round pick from the Browns that got sent to the Pats. It's a deep group, but just there's no dominant pass rusher like the Rams have with Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I actually gave them a C+, and I know you said earlier, once we get into the Super Bowl, there aren't any C teams. Well, I think that they are a C because the defensive line, when you watch them, they don't necessarily all play. Yeah, like you said, they're the 10-sack guys or the 8-sack guys, but there's no game wrecker on that defensive line. And C+ is they'll do their job, but they're going to have to rotate constantly. That's why they have so many people on that defensive line on their depth chart. They have to rotate them out. So C+ for me.
Yeah, and I think the depth adds a lot to my grade because you're able to rotate those guys out because you have such a good second line right behind them, so people are constantly rested, and that helps a lot. You want to go into the linebackers?
Yes, we'll go. I'm going to start off with the linebackers from the Rams. Personally, I gave them just a B, just straight B, because they haven't really let up anything too big, but also they've had a lot of those times as a linebacker, like Corey Littleton, who was a Pro Bowl selection that didn't go. He's that guy that comes in on special plays as a sub linebacker or is out there in sometimes slot formation. He's really caused a lot of fumbles and interceptions in key moments that I think will just gives them barely a B.
Yeah. I could agree with you there. Probably about a B for me. Dante Fowler is starting to come into his own. Originally the 3rd overall pick in the draft by Jacksonville.
Mhm.
He's starting to look a lot better. He made a big play against the Saints in the NFC Championship game, hitting Drew Brees and getting the pressure on what ended up being the overtime interception. Mark Barron is as solid as they come. He's always been good. It's just a B overall.
And next we have the Patriots linebacker core, which I also gave a B because Dante Hightower's out there, and he's been very good on defense for I don't even know how long he's been there. He's just been a very solid piece on that defense that keeps the defensive line together. And Kyle Van Noy has kind of been coming into his own lately. Not like exceptional, but I give them a B for their grade.
Yeah, I would go B plus. I'm really appreciating what Kyle Van Noy and Dante Hightower are doing to not only help the Patriots run defense as they're switching out their defensive lines, but in the way that they captain the defense and get everyone in position and get people set. It's a very smart group of linebackers. They know where to be at all times, and they know what needs to be done. So going into the secondaries, the defensive backs, we have Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters at corner. We have John Johnson and LaMarcus Joyner at safeties for the Rams. And I think this is probably an A group. This is a stud-filled secondary, especially with Nickel Roby Coleman and his inability to capture any flags at all when he plays. Unstoppable.
It's his cheat code.
I joke. Some of the backup corners, Sam Shields, he was a starter with Green Bay. This is a deep group that can go back, and that's led by a bunch of studs. Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, of course, well-known corners in the league. LaMarcus Joyner has started to make a name for himself, and John Johnson has been very solid at safety. I give this group an A.
Yeah, I'm giving them a B plus because their cornerback situation I do like. I like the age. I mean, I know they're all veterans, but they kind of know that their window is closing and they're going to play their hearts out for this last game, and they've been a good unit. Their safeties do worry me a little bit because we haven't really seen that much from them because we haven't had to. Their linebackers and defensive line have been stepping up a lot, so when you see these safeties, it's typically on the highlight reel for the other team getting touchdowns scored on, so a B plus for me.
Fair enough. Going into the Patriots secondary, led by Jason McCourty and Stephon Gilmore at corner, Patrick Chung and Devin McCourty, who have been with the Patriots for a while now, at safety. Some notable backups being Jonathan Jones and Daron Harmon. This is a solid group. I'm probably going A- here in terms of like a 90 overall, right? They're on the cusp of B plus A-, just barely on the side of A-, because they have solid names. Jason McCourty's a vet that's been around for a while, just got to the Patriots and has played strong for them at corner. Stephon Gilmore's been a leader on that defense. And Devin McCourty and Patrick Chung understand this Bill Belichick defense better than most of the players on there now and are able to get guys in position. And they've been both solid at safety, so A-.
I am a little bit higher on them than you are. I'm giving them an A grade for their cornerback situation or their defensive back situation because Gilmore has been playing almost as a lockdown corner. And the McCourty twins out there, I feel like their twin telepathy will help them in the defense. And Chung just always does what he does best, is just in the right position at the right time. Not necessarily the fastest guy out there, but he can help you win a game if you need to.
Did you ever see that commercial with both the McCourty twins that are like walking side by side? I feel like it's for deodorant or something. They just have like everything fall to them in twins. They get like tigers and these girls fall to them. It's crazy.
It's a long. That was like when you were back on the Titans, right?
Oh my goodness. So special teams.
Yes, my specialty. For the Rams, we have Greg the Leg Zerline and Johnny freaking Hecker. Two of the best people at their positions. I give them an A plus because Greg the Leg showed that he cannot be iced. He'll kick a 57-yarder to win you the game.
With his eyes closed.
Yeah, with his eyes closed. He'll probably do it backwards if you ask him to. And Johnny Hecker is one heck of a punter. He is very good. If you ever want to watch punter film, I can break it down for you, but he's exceptional.
Yeah, no, A plus all around. Greg Zerline, one of the best kickers in the NFL. You have to be to get the nickname Greg the Leg.
That's right.
Johnny Hecker's been one of the most consistent punters, top 3 finish as far as average distance over the past few years. Let's not overlook the long snapper, Jake McQuaid.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Punt and kick returner, JoJo Natson's been fine, but the real focus here is on the kicking position. And no matter where you are, as long as you get over the 40-yard line, Greg Zerline's going to hit that field goal for you.
Especially in the dome.
Especially in the dome.
or I'm sorry, Mercedes-Benz, whatever it's called now. And as for the Patriots, I give them an A. Steven Gostkowski, he's not as good as Greg the Leg, but he's definitely top 5 kicker in the league. And then Ryan Allen, a decent punter. I mean, he's not going to lose you a game. So A for me on that.
Yeah, I actually have an A+ grade for this as well. I disagree with you on the Greg Zuerlein thing. I think Steven Gostkowski is possibly one of the best kickers we've seen in a while. Just following in Adam Vinatieri's footsteps, it's hard to live up to that. This guy's been solid and an absolute stud for them. Ryan Allen's been a great, consistent punter as well. And, of course, the long snapper, Joe Cardona.
Oh, my gosh.
Amazing.
He's so
the way that he snaps that ball so long. Oh.
But I will have to say, I forgot to mention it, but Patterson on kickoff returns, for if we're on specialist teams, that could actually boost them up to an A+ now that I think about it.
Honestly, and Matthew Slater, who's been a Pro Bowl position player
Yeah.
for special teams for a while, he's been consistently solid. Let's go. Would you like to lead us into the head coach comparisons?
Oh, yes. As for our head coach comparisons, I'm going to start off with the Patriots. And Bill Belichick, I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen him in this. I'm kidding. He's been there every single year. He can get any team there, I feel like. He is probably one of the greatest head coaches of all time. I'm going to give him an A++++. Yes, that's 3 pluses.
I'm going to take it one step farther. You said he's probably one of the best of all time. He is the greatest head coach of all time, I think. He won one with the Giants. He's been to what? Is this Brady's 9th Super Bowl?
Yeah, Brady's 9th, I believe.
It's been ridiculous. He is the absolute model of consistency. The one year they lost Brady for the entire year, he went 11-5 with Matt Castle and still made the playoffs. He's the best coach I've ever seen. He knows how to make adjustments. He knows how to not only dominate teams but just choke the will out of them. He's unstoppable. I am very excited. I really hope that we get to see Tom Brady either play for another team for a year or him retire and just see what Belichick can do and how far he can go without Tom Brady. Because we associate the two so closely together that it's almost impossible to talk about one without talking about the other. But to get back on topic, yeah, I give Bill Belichick.
See, you just did it.
An A+. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then for the Rams, Sean McVay, offensive guru. Everyone's in love with him. But I do believe that he gets creative with his play calls, and I'm just going to give him an A. He's a solid coach. He obviously shows that he can take a team with a quarterback who, when he was drafted, was told that he was a bust, and then over these last 2 years has said, hey, that guy that's a bust, he just made it into the Pro Bowl, and now he's starting in a Super Bowl. So A for me. He's not going to necessarily win the game on defense and coaching up that way, but he's definitely going to keep you scoring.
Yeah. I'm going to go A-, and it's not even necessarily anything that Sean McVay has done, but it's his age.
Young.
Not even like his actual age, but like his age in terms of years that he's coached. Because he's so inexperienced in these positions. And we saw it last year when he played the Falcons in the playoffs. And we saw some this year in the first half against the Saints. There are just times where he looks a little confused and a little lost. But overall, he's a fantastic coach. There are just some things that you have to learn on the job that he hasn't learned yet. And I think that's what's keeping him from being one of the best coaches in the game right now. And of course, everyone who's hiring coaches thinks that he's great. We're getting Sean McVay assistants hired left and right on every team.
If you actually eat a dinner with him, you will get hired. So,
So, what did you guys think of our rankings? Or do you have any more?
Oh, I was actually going to do national support. And,
yeah.
I gave the Rams an A++++, which is the same grade as Belichick, and the Patriots a F-.
So, it's very easy to figure out who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl. Do you live outside of Massachusetts? If so, you're rooting for the Rams.
If not, why are you a Patriots fan?
It's awful. On some of my sports apps, I've been seeing this shirt that pops up, and it's like City of Champions, noun, a place most likely known as Boston. I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
Only good thing they did was have a tea party.
Ugh. It gets so old. I'm so ready for Boston to start losing again. Ugh.
Down with Brady.
Down with Brady. Down with Belichick. Down with the Red Sox. Gosh, just screw them all. Anyways, tell us what you thought about this in the comments below. Please, please, please interact with us. If you like this, like it, share it with all your friends. Let everyone know how great we are.
Or even people you hate.
Yeah. Yeah. If you hate us, share it. Be like, these guys are morons. Go listen to them and laugh at how stupid they are. Just get us out there. I'm Mason,
And this is Ian.
and this was Head to Head.
Helmet to helmet.
This was Helmet to Helmet. I don't even know my own name.